Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on April's virtual support group. Today, we're going to be talking about navigating the realities of downsizing. And talking to you today, we have Cindy Greer from Transition with Care. She is a certified senior move manager and the founder of Transition with Care. And just to remind you all, we will be recording today's session and it'll be posted on YouTube at maybe the end of the week here. And then if you have any questions, we will have a Q&A session at the end. But just in case you can't hang on to the question, you can put it in the chat box and we will answer it at the end, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Greer here and we'll get started.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kiana. My name is Cindy Greer, and I'm delighted to be here to talk to you about the realities of downsizing. And I am a certified senior move manager, and I founded the company, it's going on 15 years ago. And I had the experience of helping my mom and my grandmother with downsizing and their journey from transitioning to different homes. And that's kind of what inspired me to start my business. My background is in interior design, and then through the experience of helping my family, I kind of segued into working with the in the senior care arena. And I was a community relations director for a retirement community, and then also was the director of marketing for a home care company in Mecklenburg County. And then I actually had Kiana's role as a program coordinator for the Parkinson Association of the Carolinas 15 plus years ago. So, the Parkinson Association is near and dear to my heart. And I'm just so pleased to be able to share some information with you that I think will be helpful. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So in our discussion today, we're going to just talk a little bit about the senior move management industry, which is still a very niche industry and growing rapidly. We're going to identify why downsizing is so overwhelming. We're going to talk about the process of downsizing, managing stress, and providing support to somebody who's in the downsizing process. And then we're going to talk about the benefits of downsizing. And then lastly, I'll be providing some tips and resources that can save you time and money. And then we'll take the questions and answers after that. So my company is a member of the National Association of Senior Move Managers, and that was actually founded in 2002 by a group of companies just like mine, and they got together and talked about the great needs of folks that are downsizing and transitioning to smaller homes. And so they started the association. And a senior move manager is a professional that really is dedicated to assisting those 55 and older with downsizing and relocating, as well as aging in place or modifying their homes to stay safe. So that's really what a senior move manager is. Then you can also think of a senior move manager as kind of the point person in a home transition. And so we're the ones that are connected. We'll connect you with moving companies. If you have items that need to be sold, we can be in contact with family members, realtors. If you have items that need to be sold or auctioned off or go to donation. We also provide clean out services too. So we're kind of like that we manage all of these aspects for our clients' moves. And then just to talk a little bit about, the core services that Transition with Care offers. We offer downsizing and decluttering. Sometimes that can just be needed if you even want to stay, in your current home for as long as, you can. And you may just need some help with decluttering and making areas more accessible to you and, feel less congested or cluttered. We also provide move management services, and move management is we have several relationships with moving companies here in our area, and we work really hand in glove with them. And so we can initiate, to get an estimate to handle somebody's move, and we're there while the person from the moving company is at your home, and we've already kind of decided what's going to be moved, so we can expedite that process and be very efficient with that. And then we're typically at our clients' homes on move day, and that's a really busy day. And so we're navigating and overseeing the movers' activities, so our clients, don't have to be involved with that. We then are involved with packing and unpacking our clients' belongings. And some moving companies will unpack, but their unpack is very different than our unpack. When we unpack our clients' belongings, we are putting them away in a well thought out way. And it's going to be organized. It's going to look nice. We're making our clients' beds. We make sure that their wardrobes are put away, their kitchen is put away. Moving companies will unpack and just place it on top of a surface, but we're going to be, doing much more than that. Then we also do a custom floor plan, which I feel like this is kind of the roadmap to a really successful move. Is that we meet with our clients and we measure the furniture and belongings that they ideally would like to move into their new home. If it's a local move, we're going to go to the new home and, look at the home and the space there. We'll also take measurements, and then we're going to generate a custom floor plan for you showing exactly where your furniture is going to fit. And that cuts down on the cost of moving because there's no guesswork about where anything's going to go. And we're going to show the movers, the proper placement of your furniture. Then after we've, gotten our clients moved and settled and transitioned into their new home, we will come back, and probably about 95% of the time we're hired to handle the clean out of and or the dispersal of the remaining items. And that could be, items that need to be shipped, to family members, items that need to be sold, as well as donated. And then we also offer a cleaning service. We can clean the new home that you're moving into prior to you moving in, or we can also clean the home out that you're moving from. And especially if you're moving, say, from a house that's going to be put on the market, we'll make sure that it's presentable to, show to a realtor or to, somebody that potentially is buying your house. So that's essentially our offerings for senior move management. We are bonded, we're insured. I have a team of 10, and they all have background checks. So in a nutshell, the benefits of working with a senior move manager is that it is going to save you money. It will save you on time. We are very client-centered, which means we are very focused on our clients' needs, their desires, and we're going to make sure that this move is seamless and organized. And we do provide quality results for our clients. So just to say that if you are thinking about downsizing, you're not alone. There is what we call kind of an age wave going on, and there are over 10,000 adults turning 65 daily, and that's been going on for several years now. And if you're familiar with the baby boomers, that generation was from 1946 to 1964. And that is our largest population that continues to grow. So there are a lot of people in your situation, and so that just means that sometimes resources can be stretched a little thin, but it is a real interesting time in our demographics. So I'm not sure. Let's see, I'm having a hard time moving all my little box around, excuse me. So I did want to include this. This is a very interesting, there was a study that was done by a gerontologist named David Eckert. And he did a survey in the 2010 National Health and Retirement Survey. And while that, is, several years old now, it's still relevant to, he interviewed folks that had recently moved to a community. And he found that most of them had moved with more possessions than what they needed. 78% of them felt very reluctant to move because of their stuff. And then some have been encouraged to downsize by friends and family. And then a certain portion of them had not ever downsized. Now, the reason why I include this study is that, I think it is definitely desirable to age in place wherever you call home for as long as your home can support you. But the issue of stuff, when you have 78% felt like they were reluctant to move because of their stuff, it tells me that perhaps people are not making changes to their living environments and perhaps moving to more supportive environments because they don't know what to do with their stuff. So the takeaway was 75% felt very trapped by their stuff. And some of you might feel that way. And you're not alone in feeling that way either. But we're in the business of helping people deal with their stuff. So let's talk a little bit about why, downsizing is so overwhelming and people just do not look forward to downsizing. One is that it's very physically demanding, and because there is a lot of bending, stooping, lifting, reaching to get to all your stuff. And so that can be very, undesirable. Downsizing can trigger emotions. And, when we are looking at our things and our possessions, you're thinking about maybe somebody who gave it to you, thinking about a time and a place that was meaningful to you. I have also known that these emotions that are triggered can be positive with good feelings, but they can also trigger some negative emotions. And that's not something that people look forward to doing. So this issue of emotions is a big deal. Next, we have, as we get older, we do have chronic health conditions. And, I'm speaking to the choir right now. So, it makes it less desirable when you're not feeling your best, and you could be on medications that make you drowsy. They can also make you feel depressed. So you don't really feel like you want to do this because you're just not feeling well. And I don't care how you slice it, but downsizing is time consuming. It takes more time than what you kind of think it will. And I think largely because we do get caught up once we start looking at our things, and we take the time to reminisce and that type of thing. So it does take longer. And then it requires a lot of decisions, and that can be exhausting too. So when you are considering downsizing, decluttering, you have to make the decision on what's going to happen to those items. Are you going to give it to somebody? Do you want to go to auction, or do you want to try to sell it? Is it going to be donated? And that can be a little exhausting as well. So, where do we start with a downsizing project? And we suggest to a lot of our clients to start in what we call a low emotional value area. And that could be potentially a guest bedroom, could just be in a junk drawer, and could be just in a junk drawer. Those are areas that seem to be, able to make some really quick decisions, toss. That junk drawer has got a lot in there that needs to be tossed, in my opinion. But anyway, and or organized or sorted. And then also a linen closet is a good place to get started too. And then what you want to do is really kind of develop a process. And everything that you're looking at, you're either going to keep it, you're either going to sell it, give it, donate it, or it's going to be put in the trash. And as you're going through, these areas, you can kind of be thinking about, do I love this item? Does it bring me joy? Then, be mindful of, where will I use it? Could it be repurposed? Those are all things that, especially if you're considering to move into a smaller space, a much smaller space, you want to look at your items as, well, I'm using it, as a china hutch now. Could I be using it, in another way in a new home? And then, sometimes, is this something that maybe I could just borrow from somebody? Do I need to really have space for it in my home? Could I just, perhaps borrow it? So these are some of the things, to kind of consider as you start contemplating your belongings. Here you want to toss out items that are showing any, expired items like food, anything that's showing wear and tear. Hopefully your clothes aren't looking like that, but just to illustrate that, you really do have to look at everything, is it in usable condition? And, lastly, if anything's broken or chipped, it's not going to sell, that's for sure. And, unless you don't mind using items that are broken and chipped, but I really strongly suggest tossing them out. I think a lot of times we hold on to things that we think we might repair them. But if you're not getting to it, it's best just to go ahead and toss it. And then here are some tips, as you're, going through this process. Again, I kind of strongly suggest you start early. I really think people should be going through and sort of inventorying, maybe not, written down, but if you do, that's, kind of a plus. But, take an inventory visually of your spaces and, see if there is, some weeding out that needs to be done. I think that should just be done on a regular basis, kind of prepare things for donation. And if you are contemplating a move to a new home, think of the vision that you want for that new home. What kind of style is it? Is it going to have more of a modern feel to it? Transitional? Do you want lots of space, to walk around? If you are using any kind of support, for walking, that needs to be taken into consideration too. Get organized, before you start. And that's, getting some supplies. You're probably going to need some trash bags and some boxes. And you may even want to start taking some photos of your belongings too, so you can perhaps share them with other folks that you might want to see if they're interested in having it. Then if you are considering downsizing, you want to really start stopping the flow of stuff into your home. You could, if you're getting lots of magazines and not getting to read them and they're just stacking up, let's end some of those subscriptions. And, even for occasions like birthdays, maybe you talk to your family and friends and say, I don't really want to receive anything that needs to be put on a shelf or dusted. So that could be more, things that can be consumed. Flowers. I love flowers. I love getting flowers. But anyway, so that's kind of something to be considering is, how can you stop the flow of items into your home? And definitely, look in your closets and, assess your clothing. Is this something that you've worn, in the last year or 2 years? Does it fit? Is it still in style? I know a lot of folks we've worked with are very attached to their clothing and have enormous wardrobes. But there again, if you have areas in your home that are really congested, like your closets or your kitchens, it's probably best to start going through those items and disposing. The other thing too is, locating your local trash and recycling centers. Recycling is a great way to, kind of give back to sort of the community. But one area that people, I think, do lose sight of is if you have a garage and you may not be gardening, maybe you are taking care of the lawn yourself anymore, maybe you're hiring out, but you may have a garage full of lawn and garden pesticides, paint, thinners, things like that. Those are all considered hazardous materials or hazmat. And those do need to be properly disposed of. That is a service that we provide for our clients. But that's why you kind of want to know where you can take those items and dispose. You want to become familiar with where all your important documents are and make sure that you're keeping them under lock and key. Anything that, I think they're saying now, anything, documents, tax records, 7 years or older, they can be disposed, but you're going to want to have them shredded. And then, return any borrowed items. And those could be lawn and garden tools, but anything that you're holding on to for either someone else or if you've borrowed them, this would be a good time to go ahead and return those items. I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. Just let your family and friends know that you prefer those intangible gifts. And then again, tell your family to come get whatever is in your home that belongs to them. So those are some tips that, can kind of get you in the mindset of downsizing. Then, downsizing is stressful, and we kind of talked about, why it's overwhelming and why it is kind of stressful. And, stress can manifest in physical issues as well as emotional issues. And I see this, I have seen this take place in our clients. And even when we're on board, and we're very supportive of our clients, but it's still a stressful time. And so I do think, if you're going to tackle some of these things yourself, be very realistic about your physical abilities. Don't overdo it. You always want to be working, when you're feeling your best. Maybe 2 to 3 hours tops, take a break, and then, engage your support system. And that can be, family, it can be friends, people that are in, organizations like your churches, any clubs or things like that. I think it's a good idea to let people know that you're embarking on this journey, if you will. And you may engage somebody's help with some certain things. Maybe you need, some physical help. Or maybe you just kind of would like somebody to, help you go through a few things that you feel might be a little bit difficult for you. So I do think it's real important. And if you find yourself, as you go through this process, if you're not sleeping well or you're feeling very anxious, I do think it's a good idea to check with your healthcare provider, let them know, because sleep is so important. And I'm always checking with our clients to make sure that, they're getting good rest and not feeling too overwhelmed. So how do you provide support to a loved one? So, you want to be engaging support and providing to support somebody that you feel, understands, why you're doing this. And again, you may be able to provide support with the physical aspects of it. There's a lot of sorting that's done in downsizing, bagging, lifting, reaching, cleaning, hauling, that type of thing. And, if you're providing support to somebody, maybe those are some areas that you could say, hey, I could help you, sorting this out, or vice versa. If you need help, you could say, well, could you help me sort my closet? So that might be a way that support can be provided. Again, the emotional support, listening is a huge support to somebody. Because, when we're going through our things, it does bring up, thoughts of and memories. And it's nice to share those memories as you're going through your things. We are privy to so many stories, from our clients about their belongings. And, I think that's a way to help people sort of let go too. Discuss, this whole process of downsizing with somebody. And it's most important to, provide some empathy to the person that is, going through this. You could also provide informational support in resources, And that could be in resources for donations, different donation sites. It could be for resources for people that, can sell items. So there's just a lot of different resources. If somebody's planning on selling their house, if they don't have a realtor, maybe there's, a source there that you can share. And guidance and advice, if it, is solicited. And so I think those are some of the areas that people need the most support in, and that you could either provide or receive support while going through the downsizing. Now, the benefits of downsizing, while I think they're kind of obvious, but maybe to some they're really not. But with downsizing, there is less to maintain, and that's not a bad thing. As we get older, our energy levels, are not as much as they used to be. So there's less to maintain. There's also lower insurance costs, lower moving costs as well. So if you're able to, dispose or sell or donate, several furniture pieces that you may not be needing anymore, you're going to be lowering your moving costs. Items can be sold for financial gain. I will say that our used furniture markets are pretty full right now, because we do have this, kind of age wave. And the brown furniture and traditional furniture is not as saleable. And that's really disappointing to a lot of people. But if you have, say, some postmodern furniture or things that are more contemporary, those seem to be well received in used furniture markets. And then, it helps you maintain your independence and control. And, rather than waiting for any kind of health crisis to take place, you are directing, your future by having, less to look after. And then I did want to include, and I can actually send this list to you, Kiana, and then you could forward it to those that are had signed up, here present. But I thought it would be nice to have, some resources that you can utilize yourself or be aware of if you are trying to thin out your belongings, downsizing or decluttering. So these are some of our first line donation sites: Salvation Army, Habitat, Assistance League of Charlotte, and Goodwill, Kidney Foundation, Carolina Refugee Settlement, Beds for Kids, Dress for Success. And then in the, for trash and hazmat recycling centers, there's the Foxhole Recycling Center, and then there's the West Mecklenburg County Recycling Center. And then trash recycling, you're going to want to probably be familiar with, your bulk pickup days. If you are in city limits and you have, city trash pickup, if you have really large or a lot of trashables, I will say, there is a company called Junk Luggers. You do have to pay them, but they have the manpower and the trucks to come and take things away for you. They will also do take things to donation sites and provide you with tax receipts. There's also a company called Resupply. And then for any of your document shredding, we typically are using a company called ProShred. So those are companies that, we vetted and that we, are using, and resources that we use for our clients. And I think that kind of wraps us up. So we're ready for Q&A. And one, before we do Q&A, I did want to just point out previously that we are finding that a lot of our clients' children, unfortunately, are not as interested in receiving their parents' china. That's something that's kind of been hard for people to realize that I was of a generation that, I got a lot of my family's things and I really cherish that. But our millennials are real simplistic in kind of what they like in their furniture. So don't be surprised if your kids are not interested in your stuff. A lot of people have that going on. So, okay. I'm happy to take any questions. Look forward to it.
And I'll go ahead and add in at this time. If you all have questions, feel free to come off of mute. Looks like we actually got our first question in the chat box here.
Okay.
Let me open it up. Okay. Can we get a quote on someone to come help me downsize my stuff, even though I'm not moving?
Yeah, absolutely. So we always offer a free consultation to our clients. And probably the best way to get in touch to schedule a consultation is either to call our number, which is right there on the screen. And you'll be meeting with our client relations manager, Becky, and she'll see kind of what is going on in your home, talk about what your project goals are, and then we'll follow up with a written estimate of the costs of services. You can also reach out to us through our website, which is transitionwithcare.net. And there is a contact page, and then we can, follow up with you. You can describe what the situation is. And then, we can follow up with you and schedule that. That's a great question.
Hello there. My name is Teresa, and I wanted to follow up a little bit on your China comment, because we have a situation where a family member out of state is downsizing, and quite a number of pieces of china, full sets of china, crystal, that kind of thing. Have you found anything that has worked well for you? Do you end up donating it? What kind of options have you found work well?
Right. So we have, and it depends, on the china. We would want pictures and, manufacturers and that type of thing. Your high-end crystal, I mean, it can still sell. We would use locally more consignment options for that. And then I have even taken things over to Perry's of South Park and, talked to them prior to, but they are interested in some crystal pieces, it seems. But usually local consignments are a good option for your crystal. The china is, really going to depend on, what type of china it is. Everybody, well, not everybody, but replacements up in Greensboro is known for its collection of, china, crystal, silver, that type of thing. But again, we have, flooded markets. So they're very selective on what it is that they're looking for. And Teresa, I know that's not like a great answer, but if you would want to contact me and talk more specifically about, the types of items that you're talking about, maybe we could, offer a little bit more structured advice on that.
Well, one thing that I was interested in is, how have you dealt with silver? Not silver plate, but silver.
So if we have silver that our clients are needing to liquidate, it could be that it's along with other items. It could be going to auction. It could be involved in an estate sale if there are, a quantity of other items. Also, I have still used Perry's of South Park to purchase silver.
Okay. The advice that we got was to take it to a person that buys silver, because the silver is precious for its meltdown value, not because
right.
And so to be careful and take it to a silver person that buys it rather than another person where you may have a middleman.
Mm-hmm. So. Well, and I think that that's probably valid advice too. And that's exactly, what they're going to do. A lot of our clients don't have those connections. But I think that would be a good way to handle that too.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, I have another one, but I don't want to hog all the time. So.
No, please do.
Okay. Again, this is for a family member that's out of state that lives in a very small town about an hour and a half away from Tulsa, Oklahoma. So Tulsa, Oklahoma would be the big metropolitan area that you would think of.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just wondering what kind of things you found most successful when you need to bring back those items. We have about 20 boxes and one small chest furniture piece. So we could probably get it all in a van, rent a van and bring it back. But I was wondering if you had, known of folks that have some sort of a consolidated moving where, they've got a deadhead or something like that, because it's not a big load. It's probably 20 storage boxes, like I said, plus one small furniture chest. And so I was just wondering what kind of things you have found really reasonable for that.
So we have used a company called Mini Moves. And you can find them online, but when there have been, smaller quantities of things that needed to be shipped, we have used them, and they're very responsive. And I think they're, reasonable. Now, shipping costs, have gone up, and largely because, gasoline has gone up and labor wages, are rising. So whether or not you think it's reasonable, they'll do a good job for you, but it'll, certainly be up to you whether or not you think the costs are reasonable. I have found that our clients, have felt it worthwhile to use them because they were, anxious to get these things. And then, you don't have to wait, for a long haul, to pick it up and wait so many days, and you're not really sure exactly of what time they're going to arrive and that type of thing. But Mini Moves would be able to I think do a good job with what you're describing.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, sure.
And I promise that's the last one I have.
Well, no, feel free. I did want to say too that being part of the National Association of Senior Move Managers, their website is nasmm.org. And Teresa, I don't know exactly what your situation is going on in Oklahoma, if it's, cleaning out the house of a loved one, but there may be a move manager, in that area that would have a lot of resources, that you might be able to, use as well. So I don't know if you
Okay.
might need some additional help out there.
If you have any other questions, you can come off of mute here. And while we wait for any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and drop that link that you just mentioned, Cindy, in the chat box for everyone.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. There's another link too that I think would be real helpful. And Teresa, again, this may have some helpful information for you. It's called Home Transition Pros. And we are a member of Home Transition Pros. And in fact, I think they have such great information and insight on so many different aspects of transitioning, downsizing, that I have actually put a link directly to their page on my pro tip page. And I do feel like that's a really good resource for, lots of different information regarding selling, downsizing, that type of thing.
And I have dropped that link in the chat box for everyone as well.
Great.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, I'm going to take that as a no. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap up today's session. Thank you, Cindy, for this amazing presentation. I hope everyone found it helpful. As a reminder to everyone, this will be available on our YouTube page by Friday this week. If you have any questions in the meantime, for me or Cindy, feel free to take down Cindy's information right here. And if you didn't catch it on today's presentation, feel free to reach out to me and I can connect you with her as well. Thank you everyone for joining us today for our virtual support group, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed being here.
We enjoyed having you.